Yeah,
to everyone. Okay.
we are going to start presenting each other first. Right now, we are hosting, and maybe I feel that this is one of my lucky days. I am between two of the women that I admire the most, my friend Pau and the one and only Cornelia Funke.
I feel very honored, Gerardo. Don't forget your sister.
Yes, and my sister, that is, we are sharing camera today. It was quite easy. My name is Gerardo, as you may know me. You may call me Jerry as well. And I live, study, and work in Jalisco. I'm a student of international relations here in Guadalajara, the same college where Guillermo del Toro, the legend, studied before. And I believe that it's a magnificent thing to mention since Guillermo del Toro is, you know, a legend, as I said, but he's also a friend of Cornelia. And, it's just great to know. So I would like you to meet my friend Pau.
Hello, everyone. My name is Paulina Treviño. You can call me Pau or Paulina. It's the first time I am with you here in the book club, but I hope it's not the last because you have received me in a very warm and special way. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Well, I have a booktube channel. That's the way I met Gerardo. And I don't know, I'm just so glad to be here and have the opportunity to meet you too, Cornelia. This is really special.
And for me, it is very special too.
Yeah. So now, before we start, I would like to introduce you, but I decided to read a little fairy tale. It makes sense because at the end we're talking about stories. Once upon a time, somewhere in Westphalia, North Germany, a tiny girl named Cornelia wanted to reach the stars. I'm going to be an astronaut, she decided at the age of 7. Once her little sister, Insa, was born, the tiny girl started drawing. The chaos was echoing, yet she dared to draw about the beautiful things. Life, after all, was worth living for that tiny girl. If I write my own tales, she said to herself, they will be about tiny kids like me. Little did she know, her fairy tales will even find kids beneath adult bodies, or at least the children they were once. People were so amazed that they started to translate her tales to many languages so everyone could dive into magic words for a while. The tiny girl found her own way to be an astronaut after all, traveling all around the world with her drawings and her words. Today, that tiny girl came down from the stars to have a conversation with us. So, ladies and gentlemen, Cornelia Funke.
The tiny girl has to cry.
Oh, it wasn't meant to make you cry like that.
Oh, no, happy tears. Thank you so much. You proved to me, Gerardo, one thing that I always felt, and I'm still very surprised by it, that nobody understands the way I see the world, the way Latin Americans do. Sometimes I find it in Spain as well. And I don't understand what is it. Maybe in a former life, I was a Mexican. Or maybe, what is it that suddenly, it always resonates? And what you just described, how you just described the world and life feels so familiar to me. I have that also always when I work with Guillermo, that I understand blindly how he sees the world. So it's a mystery. Maybe one day I have to write a story about it, about the tiny girl who originally was Mexican, and ended up in a German body. How did that happen? Yeah.
Well, I'm so flattered that you like it. I can share you later
Oh,
a little
yes.
copy of
Oh,
it.
it was so beautiful. Thank you so
But
much.
it was a very poetic introduction, or at least my
Yes,
intention
it
to do
was.
it.
And
It
also
was-
my sister will love it. because I
Oh,
think I said to my sister often, I only started writing stories because of you, you
yeah,
know,
because
because you
she's
made
your
me
little
fall in love
sister.
with children. Yes, it is really true. Because usually with 13, 14, you don't love little children. You don't always do.
Yeah.
But yes, yes, very
Oh, I'm so
magical.
glad. And also a big shout out to Insa, your sister,
Yes, it
because
does such a beautiful, right, work. I would not know what to do without her. Yeah.
yes, and she was very helpful to make this coordination as well. So
Yes, I got already a thank you from one of my artists from Mexico when she saw the announcement, Brenda. So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, thank you so much, Insa, if you're watching this later. And also, I would like to say hi to some of my friends that couldn't join. Um,
Yes.
so now, in order for us to proceed, we are going to talk about The Thief Lord, was the book pick for winter. And we have prepared a few topics for discussion, Pau and I, since we are hosting. But, you know, later you are going to have the time, so you can maybe have a question for Cornelia. And if you need any help with translation, we understand very, very deeply that this is not our native language. So be sure that we are going to find a way to communicate what you are trying to say if you need it. Or if you wish not to talk, you can also, write something in the chat and we are going to be happy to read it.
It's also not my native tongue. So we are
Yeah.
talking in a language that where we can meet.
Yes, the only language that we
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
conquer. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Pau, would you like to start with your first?
Yeah, I would like to continue with the first question we prepared. So, I read this book for the first time a few years ago, and I was truly scared when I discovered that the Tio Vivo actually worked, because it is exciting to pursue stories and legends, but facing the actual decision to go up, take a ride, and become an adult, that's hard.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's too hard. And as a child, I just loved when children face such complex decisions with
Yes.
real and scary consequences. I mean, so I was wondering if the feelings and the ideas of child readers and adult readers tend to differ about this particular book and about this particular decision Escipius made.
I think it depends on how alive the child is still in the grown-up, right? Sometimes the adults have forgotten how it felt to be a child, and they will not understand what it means for Scipio to be a child and not be able to live the way he wants to live. When I was a little girl, I always wanted to be a grown-up. So I was never Peter Pan. And one day when I was in Venice, I thought, why are there no books about children like me who always wanted to be grown up? There are lots of stories about children who want to be children. But all I ever wanted was to be grown up because I was not allowed to have a dog. I was not allowed to read at night. I lived in a boring little town where I didn't want to live. So I thought, once I'm grown up, I can do what I want. But now I just have to wait. So I think a few children think like that. Other children, many, are scared by the idea, as you say, Paul, that suddenly they are grown-ups. And I think it depends on how happy they are as children, and that they're afraid they will lose that happiness and the protection.
Wow. Oh, thank you for that. That was strong because with this second lecture of the book, I just realized that I have changed a lot. I think that happens to a lot of the readers, but as a child, Escipius' decision seemed crazy, but now I kind of understand him. And as you say, I know that sometimes it can be difficult for a child to deal with their childhood and with their own vulnerability.
Yes.
And I don't know, I think that's why we need more adults who are sensitive to it. And when I read this book for the first time right now, I understand that you're the kind of writer who understands that childhood, just like Victor and Aida Espavento. And that's just magical.
I still like to be a grown-up and make my own decisions, Pau. But I also understand by now that some grown-ups wish to be children again. When I wrote the book, I didn't understand it. By now, I've seen many lives also that are very hard and very difficult and with lots of responsibility. And then they wish for a time when they didn't have the responsibility. But when I wrote the book, I only understood Scipio. And many grown-ups say to me, I would want to go on the carousel and get young again. That is the most wish I hear from the grown-ups. Oh, I want to get on the carousel and get young again. And so the children, most of the time, don't want to go on it. No, it's very rare. Very rare. Yeah.
I believe that is a magnificent conclusion. It explains how life works. We always miss something we don't know how.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. Would you go
Cornelia,
on the carousel, Gerardo?
excuse me?
Would you go on the carousel?
Oh, that's a difficult question. I don't think so.
No.
I
No, I
know,
think I would. No.
yeah.
No.
I know that life is hard, but I wish that I can live at the right moment.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
I have noted and I noticed that most of your books have, children as the main characters. And I
Some.
would like to know, how do you balance representing complicated topics such as these kind of parenting issues and dark events through the childhood lenses?
I think actually that children ask the big questions. Where do we come from? Where do we go to? Why is life so hard, cruel? Why is the world cruel and beautiful? They ask the questions. The grown-ups often learn to not ask them anymore. So it's far harder to talk about these topics with grown-ups, whereas the children want to talk about the heart of the world. Because for them, it is more scary to not know about it, and the grown-ups don't tell them, and they have to find out themselves. And that makes them be more afraid. I met a lot of children who read my books who have been in very tough situations. They met death, they met great sickness, they lost a sibling, and they appreciate that my stories talk about the darkness and the light. I wrote one picture book story. It's not published in Spanish yet. That's called The Bridge Behind the Stars. And I wrote it for a hospice for children, so for dying children. And I knew I have to take this very serious. It will be about death, and it's also for the parents. And I heard that the story is read in many hospitals and in many families where there is sickness. And I think if a story passes that test, then I've done my job.
This is a very beautiful reply. And I am so honored that you have such commitment to, accompany the childhood and to be there for us readers when we need you in a dark time.
I think it's my job, Gerardo. We all get our task, right?
Yeah.
It's like there is a wonderful picture book. I don't know whether it's translated into Spanish, called Federico, by an Italian called Leo Leoni. And it is about a gang of mice who prepare for winter. So they all collect grain and something to eat and bring it to a cave. But there's one mouse, Federico, who just sits there and stares at the world and doesn't do anything they think, right? So they get more and more annoyed with him. And they say, Federico, the winter is coming. What are you doing? And he said, I'm also doing my work, okay? I'm preparing. So the winter comes. All the mice go into the cave. The winter is long. The winter is hard. And all their food is gone after a while. And then Federico tells them about summer, tells them about the sun, tells them about the colors he collected, tells them about everything the poet saw. And he gets them through the winter. And I love that Leo Leone ends the book when they all say, Federico, we didn't know what you were doing. He says in Italian, ognuno fa il suo lavoro, which means we all do our work, right? And my work is making stories. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You're
I was
welcome.
also translating a little bit to my
Yeah,
sister.
of course.
Yeah. Before Pau proceeds with her second intervention, for the rest of the readers in the club, I would like to ask you to raise your hand if you wish to participate so we can make a line and, proceed in that order when we have the questions part. So now it's your turn, Pau, before we finish with this deep-in conversation.
Yeah. I would like to know, what did you enjoy the most about developing a sibling relationship for your books? It is complicated in any way, or rather something very natural for you?
Pau, I could only do this because I once was a social worker. And I always wanted to be with children. So I thought, how do I do that? At that time, I did not know I'm a storyteller yet. So I decided to work in a kindergarten or with children. And I work with children from very tough families. I learned from them more than I learned any time in my life. And I think they made me the writer I am today. And what I noticed about them, and the Thief Lord is a love song for those children, is that when the parents failed and did not look after them or didn't have time for them, the oldest sibling stepped in and protected the young ones. And I saw many who nearly broke from that burden and were too grown up for their age because they had to take care when the parent didn't do it. So Prosper is my love song for a boy I met who always looked after his little sister, and I have such respect for children who under these circumstances stay so caring. And I didn't want all these stories that, the child lives on the street, it's a bad child, it's a thief, it's a liar. No, I wanted to show that they can be heroes, that they can be incredible in what they do for each other. And that was for me what the Thief Lord is also about. That those children, the grown-ups failed them. They were not orphans. The parents failed them and didn't look after them. And then they make up for it. And Prosper for me is still my favorite and the Thief Lord.
Oh my, I'm crying.
Yeah, I tell you, I'm crying just thinking of the boy. I met a few who looked like that after their little brothers and little sisters. I saw like a wasp, like hornet. I met a girl like that, who looked after her siblings. It was almost too hard for her because she was so grown up already, because she had all the responsibility, And I, as a child, I had a normal family, parents who cared. I had never seen that. So for me, those years were very important. And I always say to artists, Don't let them tell you you go the straight way to your job. Go the crooked ways. Learn, do many professions, do many jobs, and learn about the world. Because when you're a storyteller, you have to put the world into your stories, because the stories don't come from inside. They come from outside. You know, from inside, we have the tools. The ink comes maybe from inside, but the stories always come from outside.
The ink hard to write.
Yeah. Yes.
I am speechless, actually.
Oh, that's,
It is because
but I
you
love
have a
you
very
for the
unique
question.
way.
No, but I
What?
love you. I love the question, Paul, because not many ask that question. And it's a very important question, you know, because it's the heart of the book, to take care. And it changes Scipio, that he learns to take care, whereas his parents don't. I had children from rich families, and sometimes they were the poorest because there was nobody who cared. They were just bored with them, you know, and I think I wanted to show that there can be sadness from poverty and sadness from riches.
Yeah. You know, I have 3 little brothers, and I don't know, I just love this kind of characters and this sibling stuff, because when I read about this, I feel brave, and I feel like I can be something like that for my siblings. And that's really, really special, because I know that out there there's a lot of um, there's a lot of kids who may need that strengness, I think.
Yes, I once read a thief lord at a school in Los Angeles, in a very rough area, you know, was barbed wire around the school. And I remember the kids, the teacher came to me and he said, I hope you know how much this means. They all read the book. They usually don't, because they found themselves in it. And I felt that I could only write like that because I had met children. Now, and I admired them and loved them for what they tried, because the world is so hard for children. You know, even when they're in a sheltered family, even when they go to school for too long, they have to work far too much. There's almost no time for children anymore to live. You know, when I was young, I had to go to school until 1 o'clock, and then the whole day was mine, right? And it's all gone. They take their childhood, they take their lives, and the world is usually just made by men. There is no nature left, and it's hard. It's hard to be a child. That's why I wanted to be a grown-up.
Oh, Cornelia, you know, we have the chance to see the film uh, because we watched
Yeah.
the adaptation for The
Ah,
Thief Lord
yes.
together before this meeting. So we have the movie very fresh in here.
Ah,
And
yes.
very quickly, I just would like to know how was the process for the filming of The Thief Lord? Did you visit the actual location, or like quite often, or how was your participation in that movie?
Well, you know, with participation, it's always that you cannot, as a writer, change much about how they do the movie. You know, even when you're there every day. I was on many movie sets, and I was also at the Thief Lord set, and it was enchanting to be in Venice and to suddenly see the children walk over the piazza. You know, they walked over the Piazza San Marco, and next weekend I go to Venice, and they will show the movie in the movie theater of the Accademia, and I will meet all the children. It will be so exciting. It was, because I love Venice so much. It's for me one of my favorite places in the world. That Venice loves the story and feels it is about Venice too. It always is for me a great compliment. And the movie, they didn't have much money. I didn't like how they did Scipio's father, because they made him very angry, which is not true. He's just bored. He just is not interested in his son. But you have to sometimes allow that things are done differently in a movie. I still think it is done well. And many, many readers love it very much. And it was unforgettable. And guess, I'm only in Italy because I did that movie because the actress who played Ida, Caroline Goodall, made me come to Volterra. So I today live here only because Ida, Caroline, lives here. She said, Cornelia, if you want to live in Italy, can you please also look at Volterra? And I did. And I found the house here. So that's how strange life is. You know, I said that I met her just 2 days ago. And it's like, Caroline, I'm going to talk about the Thief Lord. And imagine we met for the first time on the set when she played Ida. And now she brought me to this place, which is so strange how life weaves its fabric.
You made a new friend since then.
Yes, yes. We've been very good friends since then. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And, you know, next week, actually, on February the 1st, you know, the Thief Lord turns 24 years after publishing.
I didn't know that. Look at that.
We are
Because
so close to the
on
anniversary.
February 2nd, they show the movie in Venice.
Yeah, that's why they did, basically.
And I will tell you a secret now.
Sure.
Nobody knows. I think 2 friends of mine know. It was very strange. When I was last time in Venice, I had an idea for a story that is set in Venice again. Very different story. And I thought, okay, I'm gonna look where it's going. Then I had another idea, and it was once again a story set in Venice. And I was like, what's happening? So there were 2 stories suddenly growing. And then a week ago, I sit at a friend's and I'm writing, and something happened. I cannot tell you yet what, but Scipio showed up in the story in a very unexpected way. I will not tell you how. You will find out. And I was like, no. I'm not writing another Thief Lord. No. But that story is at the moment like growing like a jungle. And I don't know yet what to do. But yeah, just it may happen. It may happen.
Oh my gosh. I mean, we will love a sequel for this book. It is one of my favorites of all time. But we understand if you do not wish to do it. But why, Cornelia?
Yeah, because I was supposed to, write the final book of Reckless. I'm in a series and everybody's waiting for the final. And that is the book that I'm supposed to write. And suddenly that pushes the story. That's how it always happens. Yeah. The stories always say when they come and when they go.
And we can wait. We can definitely wait for you.
Yeah.
Take your time. So now, everyone, before we proceed, I will very much like you to make a line. You can raise your hand in the option in Zoom, so we can go in order. And while you do that, we can make a final appearance from my side, so my sister can ask something, because we are in the same,
Yes.
It's amazing to be here with you, Cornelia. I was wondering which character did you connected with the most, and who was she involved in the filming of the movie?
Yeah. My favorite character is Prosper. Though I'm very fond of all of them, it's always like that. And I was not very involved yet. I didn't know much about the movies yet. I was at the set several times. But I could influence far more. For example, with Inkheart, I knew already a bit more about movies. And by now, I know, I think 12 books were now made into film. So yeah, Thief Lord was the first.
Thank you, Cornelia.
You're welcome.
Well, so now proceeding with your readers. I believe the first one is Nat Vega. You may introduce yourself if you wish, and if you need help, let us know.
It's me, right? Hello.
Hello.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
It's such an honor to be here. Thank you for the host of this book club. My name is Nat, and I'm a new reader of your books, and I really love this book. It was my first book from you, and I love all the characters. They are so lovely, and I love all the children. I relate a lot to Prosper.
Yes.
Is my favorite character too.
Yeah.
I'm curious about the writing process to make such a lovely characters and the settings that you describe in the novel makes me travel. It's like magic, like you bring Venice to my house.
That's what a book should do, right? It should make us travel, like a door that we can go through, even if we cannot travel in reality. I read a lot about Venice for the book, of course. And with my stories, I always write many, many versions. And the Thief Lord was very hard. I think I wrote 15 versions of the book before it was done. I threw things away. I opened new. I started completely new. I think I erased 100 pages. It was a story that hid from me. I knew what it looks like, but it took a very long time to write it. It was some books are like a wild horse, and they're very hard to write, and they will not allow you to get on their back, and they will not allow you to know where it's going. And Thief Lord was so hard. But I do remember when I finally thought, oh, now I know what the story is like. I felt like I learned to listen to it, and it told me finally the truth about it. And that was a very exciting moment. And I think with that book, I truly learned how to write. And I love your sunflowers.
Thank you. My sister made it.
They look so beautiful. They look so joyful. Look, yes. Oh, wow. They are so beautiful. Please tell her. Amazing.
Yes. I tell her thank you.
Wow. She makes flowers.
Thank you, Nat. It was a beautiful question. So
Yes.
it's now your turn, Diana. Go ahead.
Hi, thank you. My name is Diana. It's really for me an honor to meet you. The very first time that I read one of your books, it was The Deep Lord, and I was about 12 years old. And for me, it was like such an experience. My mom was really encouraging me to do more reading. And I reached a point when I was reading like a book every 3 days. And a cousin of mine helped me, lending me this book. And then I kept on reading you. So for me, I barely knew about this meeting this morning. As soon as I woke up, I wrote to the page because I really wanted to have like this opportunity to listen to you. And I'm also a really, really huge fan of Guillermo del Toro. I actually was in Guadalajara when At Hunt with Monsters was there. So when the very first time that I heard that you were collaborating with the Pan's Labyrinth, I was just thrilled. And well, before this all this long introduction, actually I wrote, or I have the Cabinet of Curiosities by Guillermo when you wrote something for him.
Yes, it was the
And I
first time.
remember,
Yes.
yes, and I cried. I remember that I bought the book and I was just passing through the pages like super fast. And when I saw that you wrote something for him, I was really like, is it really Cornelia Funke? I was just thrilled that you both know each other. But you write something for him that he, among all the lines and all the beautiful words that you do for him, you say that you admire him for his way of turning all his creations into magic. But I wanted to say that for me, your books do exactly the same. I have a very, like, my imagination goes really, really far, and all your stories, every time that I read one of your books, it's like another friend for me. And I feel that I want to talk about it to my friends and to my family because they go that deep into my mind and to my heart that I feel is just another like small part of my life, just like school has been or my job has been. And I just wanted to thank you for that. And also thanking you for collaborating with Guillermo. For me, it's just something. And also for your kindness, because when I bought the very first time the Pan's Labyrinth written version, I remember that I got home and I opened it and I saw a signature there. And it had, I bought some lenses for my phone's camera that they were like super macro zoom. And when I figured out that it was like a real signature by you, I went immediately to Twitter and I posted a picture and I asked you if that was for real, or you were kindly enough to answer to me that it was yours and your arm and your shoulder heart for so many years after that. So I wanted to thank you for that. And I'm incredibly happy that I have a signature book by you and that I've been able to share this with you.
You know, and I say, and I hope you know, I mean it, I always say thank you to my readers because a book is such a dead thing when the readers are not there. You know, for me, when I write a book, it is still like almost as if you made something or you found something. And if nobody comes to see it or to travel with you with the words, it's a dead thing. But when I read a new book and it feels always as if I open the door and then all the readers come and suddenly the world is alive and I hear their voices and their heartbeat and their steps and suddenly the world comes alive. So I have to say thank you too, you know, for reading it. It's 12 years old already, you know?
Now I do what you wrote about an ink heart, what Meg does. Now that every time that I bought a book, I put it in my ear to try to see if the story has something to say to me. And yes, just to expectation.
I do, I'm sure.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you again very much for taking my request so last minute.
My
You very much.
pleasure. My pleasure. I know. And I'm glad that you could join us and share this story with us.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Cornelia.
I wish I had a photo now of you when you were 12. Yeah.
Thank you, Diana. So who is next, my dear friends? Because I can see if you have raised your hands. So who would like to do a next question?
I don't know if you would allow me to ask maybe something else.
Oh, yeah, sure. Before, so next is Ayelen. Go ahead.
Thank you. Just a few minutes ago, you said that this thing about maybe, just maybe writing a sequel for the Thief Lord, but you also have like this that you would like to finish Reckless, and you said the stories say when they come and when they go. Isn't it like maybe frustrating for you, or you don't get like confused, like this story wants to come in, but you have something that you need, you have to do?
Situation.
How do you manage that?
It will all depend on who gets the loudest. You know, if this story gets louder and louder and grows, I will have to write it. I'm also working on Reckless on the last book. And that is also giving me problems because it says it's not the last book. So I'm like, so I don't know yet how it will end. You will see.
I'm super happy to see.
Thank you.
So, Ayelen, is now your turn.
Okay, hi. My
Hi.
name is Sachelen. I'm from Argentina, from Buenos Aires.
Yes.
I'm so glad to be here with you all. I love your stories, Cornelia, and I can't believe it. I'm seeing you right now in this Zoom. And nothing. That is all I want to say. Thank you. Thank you so much because you inspires me. I want to be a writer, and you are like a how do I say faro?
Say, io posso
Faro.
capire.
Yes, that's it. Thank you so much.
I wish you happiness with the writing. Lots and lots of stories that come to you and whisper to you, and have so much fun with discovering their secrets.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
The secrets of the universe, actually.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. They all have different, you know, it's interesting that every story surprises you with what secrets it talks about, because you sometimes think, oh, the story will be about this, and then the stories talk about something totally different. You know, I just had that, you know, it's not published yet in Spanish, but I just published in Germany, in Italian it would be Il colore della vendetta, the color of revenge. And it is the fourth ink book. So it is the fourth part of Inkheart. And it's set 5 years after Ink Death. And it is in Germany the most successful book I ever wrote. They absolutely lost their mind over it. That was a very beautiful feeling because they all went back into ink world. Right? And I thought, I know what the book is about. It's about Dustfinger and the Black Prince. I always wanted to tell their story. No, it turned out to be about totally different things, many, many other things. And it turned out to be the greatest surprise. And that happens to me all the time. The stories just do what they want. And I'm just somebody who writes them down. You know, but that is so much fun.
Thank you, Cornelia. So now we can go with you, Fer.
Thank you, Cornelia. It's a pleasure to have you here. I admire the narrative style you employ in your text. And as I am currently learning German, discovering your work has been a delight. With that, here's my question, okay? Magic plays a significant role in your stories. How does this element contribute to the fantasy atmosphere of the narrative? Ich denke, ist sehr schön.
Vielen Dank. I think that the world is magical and reality is magical, sometimes in a terrifying way, sometimes in a beautiful way. And I think by putting magic in your stories and fantasy, you come closer to the truth about the world. I think if I just pretend I write realistic about the human world, it's always just about the human world, but there is so much more. And when you add magic and fantasy, you talk about the stars and the moon and death and life and animals and plants and everything that is in the world. And you don't pretend the world is just made by humans.
Thank you.
You are very welcome. Und viel Glück.
Yeah.
That was an amazing question, Per. I'm glad that you participated in German.
Yes.
I didn't get a single word about it, but so now it's Sam turns.
Okay, thank you. Hi,
Hi.
Cornelia. It's really a pleasure to meet you. You're one of my favorite authors, so this is like a magic moment for me. And I actually don't have like a question. I just wanted to tell you that, and that my favorite character in this specific book is Hornet. I've always like see myself reflected in her. So when I first read this book was many years ago. And now that I read it again, it was like a hug for my younger version of me. And I don't think I could say that for any other book. It was really amazing to read it again. And I just wanted to say thank you, because your books have a special place in my heart and have been really helpful for me in my darkest moments. So yeah,
Yes.
that was everything.
That is the most beautiful thing you can say to a storyteller, because that's what we write the stories for. Because we all know the world can get dark. And if you can give the story as a candle or as a light, what more important thing can we do as humans, right? And to give others the light. And the story about Hornet, you know, she was the only girl in the thief lot. Today, I would probably do it differently and have more girls, right? So I got a letter after Thief Lot was published, and it said, Cornelia, I love your story, but why is there only one girl? And I said, oh my God, it's true. Why is there only one girl? So I wrote back and said, I promise the next hero of the next book will be a girl. And that was Maggie.
Yeah.
So the promise of Maggie and the character of Maggie came from Hornet. And the reader who wrote to me and said, there's only one girl. So that's how often the readers also help us to tell the story.
Oh, that's amazing. Really, it is amazing.
That's how it happened. You're very welcome.
Thank
And wonderful
you.
to see you, because it always feels when I see a reader, like I see somebody who has traveled with me, because we have traveled together, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Many words. Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. So now it's turn for Eduardo, a dear friend of mine. I'm very happy to see you here.
Well, hello, my name is Eduardo. I'm really happy to be here. It's my first time in the book club, and it was my very first book from you. And it's not really a question. I just want to share that I find this book truly, truly, truly amazing. I truly felt like this relationship between Prosper and I don't really know how to say this name in English, so I will say it in Spanish, Bonifacio. But yeah, well, so me as the older sibling, I truly felt this relationship between these two characters, and it really remind me a lot of my childhood memories, which it's something that I find really, really magic in a book. I also have to say that the Venice descriptions are so vivid that I truly felt that I was there, and that was amazing.
We all have
that
to be
was
something.
amazing.
You know, it's a place in the world where sometimes we have to be. It's for me. Oh, thank you. And you know what? I just realized you are now also somebody who mentions Prosper and Bo. It once again proves that I understand the Latin American thinking better than the other thinking, because in other countries, they often are all about Scipio. And I'm like, yes, he's important, but no, Prosper and Boniface, that is the heart of the book. And you all once again prove that my stories are always understood a bit better in Latin America, than anywhere else. It's so interesting how that happens, because I think in your literature, it's also that unique understanding that the world is both magical and terrible, and that you don't deny that ever. And that is very present in the thinking. And I find that so utterly fascinating. I also always say, when the Latin American artists arrive here, there's always a second sun in the sky. Thank you for that. Thank you very much.
Just a final comment. I had a really, really rough month, and this book really had me like, just waiting to have time to keep reading the book. It really made my inner child really happy, and that has this book really, really close to my heart. So thank you so much. I will definitely look for more of your books, because this one was really magic for me. So thank you
I
so
would
much.
try my very,
I just
very
want to
best.
share that.
I will try my very, very best to keep on writing stories that can do that. I had a reader, I just did a big reading in Munich in a theater, and a reader came to me and said, "Thank you for giving me a home between the words." And I thought that's a perfect description of what a storyteller should do, like shelter from the storm, although we talk about the storm. Gracias for reading.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Eduardo. Ayelen, do you want to make a final comment, or?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, sure.
Cornelia talks about In Heart, and I wore my Brendan Fraser shirt from The Mummy, and I want to show her because I really love him, and I love the main character in Heart.
Yes, no, and his voice will always be the voice of Mo in my head. It's absolutely true. Yes, he inspired that character so much. He still does today. Yeah.
Thank you for that too.
Yes. Did you ever read heard his audio reading of Inkspell?
No, and I never heard it.
Oh, you
I
have
need to. I know.
It's the master recording of all my books. I've never ever has anybody read one of my books on audio as genius as Inkspell by Brendan Fraser. It will make you cry. It's amazing.
I want to hear it.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Cornelia. We're just in time. So once again, I want to thank you deeply, personally to you, because you have made, the very first appearance of the year, but also a very special one. And I am very happy that you can have a conversation with us, that you can understand what we were trying to say, and that you had the time to listen to, it was not a complaint, but it was a compliment. And
it was you gave me a wonderful afternoon. I thank you all for getting up early or being at the Zoom so early, and I will never forget all the questions and your faces. And I hope we see each other again. We will continue the conversation.
oh yeah, I'm so glad.
Really love.
I'm so glad that you can come back later, and we're looking forward for it.
Good. Fantastic. It's a plan.
It's a plan, it's set then.
And I would say, as the Italians say, a presto, which means we see you soon.
Yes, it means later.
Yes.
Thank you so much, and thank you, Pau, for joining me. Thank you, everyone who
Thank you,
attended this
Pau. Thank you, everybody, for your questions and for your insights. And you gave me once again the feeling that to be a storyteller is the most blessed profession in the world.
I will be so glad to tell you that it's now time for a book signing, but unfortunately, we are not in the same room.
Someday.
But Gerardo, if anybody wants a signed book plate to glue into a book, you send me a list of the names and I will send you the book plates.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. So I have little, these little labels that you can Yeah, so you just have to send me a list of the first names, and then I will send it to you, and then you just have to get them to the people, or I can send them, I don't know. Think about it, how we do it best.
Oh Lord. I was not expecting this, but it is so kind for you. Thank you.
It will be on its way. The moment I get the list. Thank you all very, very much. We're enchanted.
Thank you
to
so
you.
much. Thank you, Cornelia. It has been a special morning, or well, a special evening in your side.
And my little Spanish that I have is like un abrazo fuerte. Sí. A todos.
Un abrazo de vuelta. It means a hug back.
Yes. Ciao, ciao.
Ciao, everyone. Thank you so much.
Vielen Dank.